a train. We got a train. Why am I showing you guys a train? This train says Northern Costa Rica Northern Railway. Okay. How can a train change a country? Obviously, you know, with transportation, things like that. But the train to Costa Rica did not just change the country regarding the economy, but it brought more diversity to the culture of Costa Rica. Okay. I'm gonna give you guys a job while you're in Costa Rica. Okay. Eventually, I'll probably see you again, and probably I'll try to ask you guys this. Okay. But as you travel through Costa Rica, do this. Check people's faces out. Check the Costa Ricans' faces. Look, see what they look like. Try to figure out what's in it. Okay. If I was to tell you, can you go home and make me a Costa Rican? Get in the kitchen and cook me a Costa Rican. What are the ingredients that you need? Regarding that, that's pretty much where the Costa Ricans come from, and you need to figure that out by looking at Costa Ricans. Okay. In 1870, Costa Rica was booming with coffee. You know that our coffee is considered one of the best quality coffees of the world. Okay, we're not a big country, so we have to emphasize on producing high quality coffee, not quantity. Okay, in 1870 we're doing very good with exports of coffee, but we need a faster way to export coffee. The coffee grows here in the valley because coffee grows in high elevations. Okay, the port of exports was in the port of Limon. That's on the Caribbean side. So we need to send the coffee there, and we used to use ox carts. It took the ox carts easily 10, 12, up to 15 days to get there. And one little ox cart didn't carry that much of coffee. So obviously the issue of the mentality of a railroad system was important. We didn't have the money for it, okay? So we had to negotiate with the Northern Railroad Company the making of the railroad system to Costa Rica. We got a small bank loan from the Bank of London on a very bad interest rate, okay? And we agreed with the Northern Railroad Company that we're to run the railway for 99 years on a 99-year contract. And once those 99 years went by, then we took the railroad system for ourselves. Okay. Mr. Minor Keith was the engineer in charge of the construction of the railroad system. So being in charge, he needed to find the hand labor to build the railroad system. Back in 1870, who lived in Costa Rica? Costa Ricans. Oh my gosh. Chicos, we had a lot of Spaniards, okay? And in this case, when we had Spaniards living in Central America, we referred to them as peninsulares. Peninsulares were Spaniards that lived in Central America, okay? We had Criollos, which were sons and daughters of Spaniards that were born in Central America. We had Mestizos, which was the mixture between the Spaniards and the indigenous people that we had in Costa Rica. Okay, that's who we pretty much lived in Costa Rica. A high percentage of Spaniards specifically in Costa Rica, because the indigenous groups that we had in Costa Rica were very small, so the Spaniards felt very secure to live here in Costa Rica. So they concentrate a lot versus, let's say, Guatemala or Honduras or Nicaragua. They concentrate a lot in Costa Rica because of the easy control they had over the indigenous people. Okay. So Minor Keith decides he needs to build a railroad system, but he needs hand labor. He needs hardworking people for this. So he hires some of the indigenous people to build the railroad system, but that was not going to be enough. Plus, he needed people that was to be able to work hard, long hours, and deal with the tropical conditions of the lowlands of the Caribbean. So he brings in 400 Chinese, okay, negotiation, and he brings 400 Chinese, okay. He brings specifically the Wong family, the Li family, and the Chan family, okay. 400, that was a lot, okay, out of 3 families, right? It was very strange because we saw a young Wong woman getting married to young Wong men. We're like, aren't you like brothers or something like that? Like, oh no, I'm not really Wong. My last name is Chin. Like, but your paper says Wong. Yeah. The thing was that the contracts were given under a family. So let's say that my last name was Wong, and I tell you guys, you know what? I'm getting a job in Canada. We're gonna make a lot of money. Would you like to get a job with me there? Yeah. Okay. So instead of your last name being Smith or being Williams or being whatever, your last name is gonna be Wong now. So you're gonna go under the Tiffany Wong. I don't care if you don't look like a Wong, but you're Wong now. Okay. So they brought in these families to Costa Rica to build the railroad system. So we introduced the first Asians to Costa Rica. We put in some little Cantonese flavor to Costa Rica, if you might, okay? The Chinese were doing quite well. They were working in the railroad system on the lowlands, taking down the mountain, but very slowly because they were not very physically fit, okay? So somebody told me, Sir Minor Keith, why don't you bring somebody, you know, we know these Europeans, they're right now in Colombia and Argentina, los Italianos, Italians, okay? They hired the Italians and they bring 120 Italians to work in the railroad system with their families. Guess what? Mamma mia, il signore italiano è buono per lavorare, è buono per scopare e per mangiare, ma non è buono per lavorare nella foresta. Capisci? Yeah, okay? The Italians, guys, were dropping like flies because they were in the lowlands of the Caribbean, high humidity, dengue, fevers, the whole thing. These guys were not adapted to this tropical condition. So the Italiano said to Mr. Minor Keith, ciao signori, arrivederci, ci vediamo dopo. And they left the Caribbean and they moved to the South Mountains of Costa Rica, up in the mountains, and they created a community called San Vito, okay, an Italian community, higher up in the mountains, cooler climate, dairy farming. They settled in this area, okay? So now, add to Costa Ricans, the Italian flavors. So put some focaccias in there, okay? So now we got the Asians and we got the Italians, okay? Finally, Mario Keith uses a little bit of common sense. Somebody gave him a good idea and said to him, why don't you bring in the Jamaicans? Physically fit, adapted to the tropical conditions, perfectly fine, right? Okay? And sure thing, these guys were physically fit. They were taking down the mountain, and 20 years after, they finished the railroad system back into here in the Central Valley. Once they finished, the government of Costa Rica offered the Chinese a citizenship to settle in Costa Rica. The Italians received the citizenship, and the Jamaicans were given the right to stay in Limon, in the province of Limon. And I literally mean it. Stay in Limon. They were not allowed to come to the Central Valley because they were considered Jamaican citizens, not Costa Rican citizens. With this, guys, the economy of Costa Rica starts rolling, okay? We had a few more people coming around from other parts of the world. We had the arrival of the Jewish towards the beginning of the 1940s, specifically from Argentina and some from Spain. But in 1948-49, something really important happens in Costa Rica, okay? None of you mentioned that, okay? Something that is very unique about Costa Rica, okay?
Oh, they got rid of the military.
Muy bien, muy bien. Got rid of the army in 1948. We had a civil war that led to the abolishment of the army at the end of 1948 and officially done in 1949. The moment that we get rid of the army, the eyes of the world turned to Costa Rica. Most people call it stupid, okay? You don't know what you're doing. What was going on in 1948-49, guys? We're in the middle of the Cold War around the world. And here's a country in the middle of Central America, a highly controversial area, getting rid of the army. That was the dumbest thing in the world. You guys gonna get picked on. You're gonna get taken over by. We said we'll take the chance. We took the chance. We did sign treaties with countries saying that in case that we get invaded or attacked, somebody will step in and help us out. Okay, but we decided to get rid of the army. This calls also the attention of people around the world to see what was Costa Rica all about, and specifically called the attention of a religious group that came from Alabama. 11 Quaker families came from Alabama to settle in Costa Rica. That was the first wave of Quakers, about 150 individuals. They were running away from the States because they were being called upon to serve the army. And the Quakers did not believe in that. They hear this country without an army, and they run to Costa Rica, okay? So it's not rare to see a blonde, blue-eyed Costa Rican that doesn't speak a word of English, okay? Because with the arrival of the Quakers, they actually, I call it exchange of culture, which was pretty much intermarriages taking place between the Costa Ricans and the Quakers, okay? A lot of them, went to the French school, and that's where they met, they fell in love, and you know what's next, okay? Muy bien. Later on, guys, we get the era of the 60s and 70s. I'm giving you guys a little glimpse of the most important events that took place on how to make a Costa Rican, the most important ingredients, okay? In the eras of the 60s and 70s is the era of the spirit in the sky, peace and love, okay? Remember peace and love, okay? Spirit in the sky. Don't do that. Okay. So, the hippies arrived to Costa Rica, and when I refer to hippies, I don't remember hippies as like a one specific country. I look at hippies because they have the same mentality, as one breed, as one culture. They came from South America, they came from Europe, they came from the United States, from Canada, okay? And Costa Rica was having, what's the mentality of the hippies? Peace. We don't have an army in Costa Rica, so what more peaceful country than Costa Rica? And love was everywhere in Costa Rica. We had all these mountains, all this rainforest, we had the perfect weather to grow cannabis, alias marijuana, whatever they smoke in that, So Costa Rica was great. It was a peaceful, easygoing country. I remember, throughout the 80s, the hippies, obviously, they started right here, watching the hippies going around, this tall, red-headed, pure, long-haired guy, and getting married to a little indigenous woman. And I was like, oh my gosh, what kind of a mixture we're gonna get out of this one? This red-headed guy with an indigenous woman. Something really scary is gonna come out. But, it got very interesting because we had some interesting mixtures taking place, okay? Obviously, more recent time, the arrival of other people that had met Costa Rica, you know, in the last 15, 20 years, because Costa Rica has become a big touristic boom and people want to move to Costa Rica because they think that Costa Rica is a cheap place to live, which is not true, okay? But anyways, so we put in the pot, we went through Spaniards, right? Indigenous people that were already settling right here. The Spaniards brought a few African slaves, okay, but you know, Wakamba, the Jamaicans, the Chinese, the Italians, the Quakers, okay, and then the hippies. You mix all that up, guys, you put it on top of an active volcano, and that's how you cook a Costa Rican, okay? Got it? Okay, pura vida. So imagine, that's what a train did. You can change the country completely, okay?